If you run a health and social care agency and you're serious about scaling your company, you need to apply for these contracts if you meet the requirements. Firstly, in London Borough of Havering, there is the Dementia Support Services. So here the council are looking for suppliers or a supplier who can provide support services for individuals that are pre-diagnosed with dementia and also those that have been confirmed with dementia, as well as their carers. So here you're not providing personal care or any regulated activity. The services that you're needed to provide will encompass around peer supports, information, advice, and generally helping them to promote their health and their well-being. With the predominant aim that has been set by the council is to provide early interventions for these individuals and their carers, and again, enable them to be able to promote their health and their well-being and manage their health conditions more effectively. The service will require you to provide support for these individuals and their carers, which is at least 50 of them every quarter. So every 3 months, there's going to be a minimum of 50 individuals and carers you need to support. So obviously, you need to have the relevant and appropriate resources to do this. You also need to be staffed and opened Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and also be available for on-call, so the emergency ad hoc requirements where you might need to go in and provide support. Make sure that to be eligible for this tender, although it's not personal care, you don't need to be regulated by CQC. However, you need to have at least 12 months experience providing support services to individuals with dementia and their carers. So again, relevant and similar contract examples where you've done things like this in the past. Make sure that you also have your insurances that are up to date. So insurances here vary from your public liability, and your physical and sexual abuse insurance needs to be at least 10 million coverage. Your employer's liability as well as your data breach insurance needs to be covering at least 5 million, and your professional indemnity needs to cover at least 2 million. Also ensure that you have policies that are up to date. So your policies like health and safety, data protection, safeguarding, etc. As well as that, because it is in London Borough of Havering that you will be providing these support services, you also need to have a physical presence, which could be an office space within Havering. So not out of Havering, not in Manchester, not in Wigan, wherever it is, but it needs to be within Havering. Then in Derby City Council, there is the provision of outcome-focused home care. So these are for your domiciliary care providers, your home care providers. You're going to be required to provide personal care, so personalized care for adults over the age of 18 within their own homes. Specifically, adults are residents within Derby City Council, so this is more ideal for CQC registered care providers who are based and have office branches within Derby City Council. There's essentially 5 lots here. The lots vary based on the area within Derby City Council. So you've got west area, north, east, south, etc. They're going to be taking 4 providers from lots 1 to 4. So 4 providers in lot 1, 4 in lot 2, 4 in lot 3, 4 in lot 4. And in lot 5, there's going to be 10 providers they're going to be taken. So approximately you can say 26 providers will be approved onto this tender. However, you need to bear in mind there's 2 stages. There's stage 1, and successful providers who get onto stage 1 and get beyond stage 1 will also need to be successful in stage 2 before the contract is then awarded to the successful providers on each of these lots. In terms of your eligibility criteria, you need to make sure that, as I mentioned earlier on, you're CQC registered, but you're also rated at least good. So good or outstanding by CQC before you can be eligible to succeed on this tender. Secondly, like I said, it's in Derby City Council, so you need to have a CQC registered office within Derby, or at least 10 miles from the border of Derby City Council. Number 3, you need to have similar contract examples from the past 3 years. So within now and the past 3 years, you need to be able to provide up to 3 relevant contracts which you've provided similar domiciliary care services, either via another council, via the NHS, or maybe even in private as well. Another requirement you need to watch out for is the financials, because a lot of people do fail on the financial requirements, meaning that you need to have at least 2 years audited accounts. So if you're a new company that's been operating for less than 2 years, you may struggle. There are alternatives, but you may struggle to win this one. As well as that, even if you have 2 years accounts, they will also run a credit check on your company. So make sure that you don't have any adverse credit history within your company. They'll be using Equifax to run this check. So to help yourselves out, you can also do a similar check on your company finances, just to make sure that you already are aware of what your financial criteria, your financial background is before you go into the tender. Otherwise, you might just end up wasting a lot of time bidding and end up failing due to adverse credit history that you did or did not know about. Next, in Conwy Borough Council, which is in Wales, there is a provision of support services for individuals with learning disabilities. Now, in this tender, there's essentially 4 components, different types of support services that you will be required to provide these individuals and their families. First one being advice, information and representation. Second one being engagement and participation. The third pillar being moving on solutions. And number 4 being consultation. So this is essentially a support services to help, again, to promote general well-being and engagement of these individuals, and also help their families as well. In terms of the eligibility criteria, you don't need to have a CIW registration. However, you do need to have previous experience and specialist skills in this area, because that makes up 20% of the scoring. So for every bidder that applies to it, 20% of the scoring matrix will be based on what experience they have and what specialist skills. So this can be, specialist skills can be your certifications, qualifications, your training, or it can even encompass your previous experience as well and how you generated and built up specialist skills in these areas. Secondly, you do need to have a office base, a branch within Conwy, ideally, because it needs to be suitable for the delivery of the service. So it needs to be within the area where the individuals will also be residing, which is going to be in Conwy in Wales.